Good morning. We just adopted 2 kittens. Oh, I love their names. How cute. Good morning, everyone. I see Jenny and Gigi and Cindy. I am going to play Gigi today after my time with you guys. It's my grandson's 2nd birthday. So, for those of you who don't know, I am remarried and have a grandson. So my stepson and his wife, he's just so cute. So good morning, Randy. Good morning, Doug. We're going to dive right in today because I have to end right at 8:30 because I have a whole bunch of things to make for the birthday party. So how is everyone doing? It's been a week. I'm pulling together my coach training program for January, and I've never worked harder on any project in my life, and I'm so excited about it. So if you, a couple people have sent me questions about the scholarship. We have 1 scholarship spot for each program, each session. The January 2021 coach training session is already full. We've given away the scholarship spot and all of the program spots are full. Good morning, Deanna and Renee. Libra Aquarius Leo is back with a new name. And so we've just opened enrollment for the May session. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the High Conflict Divorce Coach Training Program. I am asking anyone who applied for a scholarship with the first program session to reapply. And you can just go to hcdivorcecoach.com. Click the little apply button. We are going to accept scholarship applications all the way through December 1st, and then we will announce the winner on January 1st, 2021. So make sure you have applied for the scholarship spot or for the program if you would like to join me. I don't know if you've seen the instructors we have. It's amazing. Some of the people I look up to most in this industry, in this realm, whether it's family court or psychology, I'm just blown away by what we've pulled together, and just really excited. So reading the comments, I'm going to jump into the actual questions. And if you would like to submit a question, you can send it to coffeedatewithtina@gmail.com or pay attention to our Instagram. We will run a story throughout the week, and you can just send your quick question in over there. And I've already have next Saturday's scheduled, and I already put out the questions, which we will be talking about next Saturday. So you'll know in advance if we're going to talk about and address your question. I do like to remind everyone, I'm not an attorney. I can't give you legal advice. This is very much a community of survivors who are both experienced in narcissist and narcissistic abuse, and also the family court system. So we come together and share all of our collective experiences. So question number 1, how do you convince a narcissist to agree to therapy for your child? That is a really difficult one. When the narcissist hears that you want to put the child in therapy, it's a huge threat to them because, it can go both ways. From what I see, there are some narcissists who will jump at the opportunity. They're usually the ones who are really good at charming people. They're really good at impression management. So they're going to be all over that opportunity to have a new feed supply. The ones who aren't as good at impression management and know that people often see behind their mask, that is a huge, huge threat to them. And so what they're going to say is, the child doesn't need therapy. All the problems are happening at your house. You're obviously the problem because things at my house are absolutely perfect. No, nothing to see here, folks. No problems. It's all her or him. So there's different ways that I do see people get around it. One is to have your attorney, because if a narcissist knows that you have energy about something, that you want something, they're going to do the absolute opposite, or they're going to put up the biggest roadblock that you'll, never be able to get around. And every state is different on what the legalities are. So you'll want to check with your attorney and find out, what the legalities are in your state. Couple of things that I commonly see people do: have their attorney be the one to propose it to opposing counsel. That way, and then you behind the scenes be documenting all of the issues that you are seeing, why this child needs therapy. When we think of documentation, a lot of times people think of it as a whole big picture, and it is that, but it's also, one of the things I talk about in my documentation webinar is you have your big picture, and so much of this is painting a picture for the court, but then you're going to have like miniature timelines, miniature focus topics. One of those could potentially be why your child needs therapy, and then backing that with examples of the things that you're seeing, thinking outside of the box. Who are other people, preschool teachers, elementary school teachers, who are also witness to these things, who can validate, your requests with you. And so if opposing counsel denies it, then you're at least working behind the scenes to build the case, to put it in front of the court if you need to go that direction. Another thing that I commonly see people do is go to their pediatrician. And every case is so different. Every situation is so different. If it's something emergent that, warrants getting in right away, that might be an option. Otherwise, at the next scheduled appointment, say, hey, these are some things that I'm noticing, and our child seems to have a really difficult time with parenting time transitions. I'm seeing a lot of regression. It's affecting their sleep, their school. Do you typically recommend therapy for a child this age? And if they say yes, then my follow-up would be, is there a way you could put that in writing for us? Because then you have the pediatrician saying, based on what I've heard, I do recommend therapy. And that can help even more to, give your presentation more weight. And then I'd even take it a step further and ask the pediatrician, do you have actual recommendations of child therapists who are very skilled in two household divorce situations? So those would be the things that I would probably do, because that's what I've seen a lot of people do over the years. And then the last resort is, if you absolutely cannot get therapy for your child, if I were facing that situation, I would find a very skilled child psychologist or therapist and schedule with them myself. And I've even heard some who will have you bring your child into the waiting room. So they're kind of playing off in the distance. The therapist just has a chance to at least see the child, see your interaction with the child, but then you're meeting privately with the person to fill your toolbox, to help you navigate this situation and to help you help your child. So those are, off the top of my head, those are some of the things that I would probably lean towards. But again, I am not the only expert. There are a lot of comments going on in the sidebar, and so make sure you are tuning into those as well, because our survivor community just has amazing insight, and they may have direction that I've never even thought of before. So much of what I learn is from my coaching clients and walking with them through their journeys and brainstorming with them and saying, okay, let's, plan A and B didn't work. We're going to figure out plan C now. What can we do? Let's think outside the box. And so that is, I've had my own journey, but I've had the blessing of walking with so many of you through this process. So I learned something new every single day from this community. So I'm so thankful for all of you. Okay, question number 2. How to explain the situation to the therapist so they get what we are dealing with? So I have an unconventional approach, and it's kind of from experience. And a lot of people have the mindset that they get a therapist, they rush them, they share this newfound knowledge, especially those of us who have just had a light bulb moment. We just heard the term NPD or narcissistic abuse, and we're so eager to share our knowledge with other people. And sometimes that can really backfire on us. And one of the times I see that backfire is when you're trying to enlighten your child's therapist. I've had the opportunity over the years to make friends with a lot of mental health professionals, and a lot of those are child therapists. And one of the things they tell me is, we don't know either party. And so when anybody comes into our office and is trying to convince us that the other side is bad, that's a red flag. And, we're formulating a picture. Our main priority is this child, not what's going on with the adults in their world. And so my approach with, whenever we've had to meet with a new therapist or I'm interviewing a new child therapist is, listen, I'm not going to overwhelm you with the details of my personal situation or divorce proceedings. My only goal is to give my child, take my child's toolbox, bring it in here with my children and have you help them fill their toolbox. And if the need ever arises, to be a voice and an advocate for them. Hopefully that never happens and you're never put in that position. And I've even taken it a step further where I'll say, I will sign anything you want that says I will never call you into court. That's not my purpose for being here. I want to empower my child. I want my child to have a safe place to talk about whatever is going on in their life, whether it's me, my ex-husband, a bully on the playground, a teacher that they don't like, whatever it is. I just want my children to have a safe place to unpack that baggage. And so I have a very unconventional approach to therapy. I'm not going to ever try to convince somebody that the other parent is bad. My opinion is they'll see it on their own over time, and I have to stand firm in my truth of who I am as a parent. And because so many times when we're trying to explain who the other party is to anybody, there's trigger. I heard a new term this week, trauma bubbles. That could be punctured and you're now seeping out onto them. And sometimes we come across as irrational or hysterical, unfortunately, and so we want to be really careful about how we are presenting so much of this entire process, whether you're talking about family court, whether you're talking about new minors counsel being appointed, a child custody evaluation. They're all formulating a picture of you, of the other party, of the entire situation. And what I like to remind people is, how many years did it take you to see behind the mask of that person? I know it took me a solid 6 years. There were obviously red flags along the way, but before I really understood the level of dysfunction, 6 years of living with someone on a day-to-day basis. And part of that was because I was in such a fog, it slowly sets in. So just be careful with that. That's my personal opinion on that topic. Okay, next question. What type of technology and app do you recommend to organize and manage documentation? So I have my own system that I promote and that I do. It's actually available for instant download on our website. And I hear from people all the time that their attorney gave them 5 gold stars, that it was the most organized thing they've ever seen. I know there are also apps. One of my clients sent me an app yesterday. I want to say it's like DocuSave or there's apps out there. For me, and I know like our Family Wizard allows you to do private journals and things like that. For me, I never wanted to trust my documentation in the hands of a third-party app. Like that actually terrifies me. And because you just never know, you never know if something's going to get hacked or who knows. So, and maybe I'm a control freak. I don't know. But I know that for me, my documentation system is in my own control. I don't want an app to do that. But if you have an app that you have found helpful, that you recommend people look into, feel free to post it. It's not my way or the highway. But back in 2016, and I've always prided myself on my documentation system. But back in 2016, I was being sued or they issued a cease and desist, my ex-in-laws. And so I had to pull my entire family court case, plus going back through my marriage together for Lisa Bloom, the Bloom firm. And they called, her associate attorney called me afterwards and said, this is the best thing we've ever seen. Like, we were able to get up to speed that quick, and I pulled my whole system together. I fine-tuned it to the point of being able to present to Lisa Bloom's firm in 7 days. I didn't sleep. I drank a lot of coffee, but I rocked it. And I'll tell you how much money it saved. A lot. It saved because when an attorney is able to just go bing, bing, bing and come up to speed instantly, rather than having to go through documents and emails, you're doing the work, you're organizing it for them because you know your case better than anybody. And so, that is available on the One Mom's Battle website. You just click online courses if you are interested in that. But like I said, if other people have apps or suggestions for documentation, feel free to post it in the comments. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who would love that. Let's see. After you won custody, were you ever afraid of retaliation? Yes. Absolutely. And my ex and his family live 30 minutes from me now. And yeah, there's sightings of him on and off all over town. Now I'm not as afraid because we've completely severed his parental rights. But I'll tell you, like, when I won full legal and physical custody of the girls back in 2011, it was scary. You have this win. Your kids are safe. Your kids are protected, or not totally, but you're one step closer. You've had a victory in protecting your kids. And then you're looking over your shoulder. Many people know I slept with a hammer for over a year under my pillow, and an industrial size can of mace that my dad, or pepper spray that my dad sent me from out of state. It was like a riot pepper spray that law enforcement uses. And I literally, for about 1 year, I walked around my condo carrying that And it's a horrible time. And for those of you who are in that, you're not crazy. And I became very selective over who I talk to about it, because to most people, that does sound insane that I carried around mace and slept with a hammer. But there are people who get it because they're also walking that journey. So, yeah, was I afraid of retaliation? And do I still kind of, yeah, we have cameras all over my house, all around my house outside. And it's not because I live in an unsafe neighborhood or we're worried about anybody breaking in. It's because I divorced a sociopath who, just 2 years ago took a job that was very beneath him. Very beneath him. He makes six figures, and he took a $13-14 an hour job 5 blocks from my house just to mess with me. And so, yeah, unfortunately, it is a reality for so many of us. And so my heart goes out to any of you. I hope you feel validated by being here in this community with us, with other people who get it. So to this day, 10 years later, I am, very aware of my surroundings. You would never see me, I'm not that person who's walking, looking down at my phone. I don't have that luxury. I'm not paranoid, but yeah, we've divorced very scary, disturbing people. So I'm aware. Expect the unexpected is what I was told early on. Still true. Absolutely. Let's see, where are we at time? We've still got time. I'm talking really fast and I've had a lot of coffee. My ex's attorney is a yeller. The judge likes meek witnesses. How do I not crack under pressure at trial? That's a hard one, because I know for me, if somebody yells at me, no matter who it is, I'm probably going to be in the bathroom crying hysterically. I don't do well with being intimidated and yelled at. It works. So, that's a hard, I'm glad you have that insight on your judge about what they like. That's a component that so many people miss. And it's hard to, collect data and collect information to formulate that picture of what type of witnesses does the judge like. And so I'm glad you have that insight, that they like kind of witnesses that are more meek. That would be my presentation. Not, I don't know if I could do meek, but calm and collected and respectful. I would say when I was in court, I had to there was a point in time where my ex-husband was also representing himself, and we were both in pro se, and he had me on the stand during our 2-day trial. And to be questioned by your abuser was one of the most traumatic things I've been through. And for me, it was just, I took support people in there with me. I used to go to court by myself. That was just what I did. I didn't have to think about anybody, worry about anyone. I actually felt like I did better when I was just solo. But in that situation, I brought 3 support people. And that's kind of on the extreme end of how many people you want to typically bring in. But I needed them there. And I knew they were people who would keep me centered and focused. And, I don't know you. I can only speak for myself. Whether it's meditation for you, what if you have the luxury of taking the day off to practice self-care prior to that, so you can really get in the mindset and role play and go through different, think of the worst possible questions this opposing counsel could ask you. And if you have a friend or a family member who can role play with you and throw those questions out, just rapid fire, and in a strong voice, kind of desensitize you to it in advance. And I truly would choose the absolute worst questions that I think I could potentially be asked, even if they were completely outrageous, because for me, it would help it, because then I'd go, nothing could be that bad. And so I would go into it somewhat desensitized. So yeah, PTSD symptoms are, they're hard to describe to people who have never experienced PTSD and trauma. I know EMDR has helped me. It has helped so many. I wish I would have discovered it back then. Because I really do think it could have taken the edge off, lack of a better word, for court, for those purposes. And, I've had EMDR therapists tell me, it would be unethical for us to take the edge off to the degree where you were no longer fearful of someone you should be afraid of. They described it as, if you are walking to your car alone at 2 a.m., you have every right to be looking over your shoulder, cautious, extra cautious, in the stance, superpower, strong person presentation. And like, if somebody went to EMDR for that, that would not benefit them. That could put you in a really dangerous situation where it took the edge off to that degree. So you want, that was something that's always stuck out in my mind when my therapist explained it that way. Do we really want to be desensitized to someone who is actually dangerous? I know for me, it's just helping release some of that trauma so that I can present better. Because otherwise, there's been a couple of times where I've been a mess. So I hear you. All right, everybody, I'm going to log off a little bit early today. Like I said, I've got stuff to make for my grandson's number 2 birthday party. So thank you all for joining me. I already have next week's schedule. You can go sign up to be notified of the reminders. And again, if you have interest in the High Conflict Divorce Coach certification program, make sure you fill out an application for either the program or the scholarship. So thank you, everyone. Happy Saturday. Take care.